Hi guys, welcome back to the show and this week's movie review.
Looking for you.
Doctor Strange. Alright, so when this movie was announced, just like everybody else, we were all super excited, like, woo! Another MCU film's coming out. Doctor Strange, can't wait to go see it. I love Doctor Strange, and none of us had any clue about who the heck Doctor Strange was. Unless you're a super big Doctor Strange comic book fan, everybody else was just kind of riding the hype. And I'm not even gonna lie, I rode that hype too because I would watch the trailers, and when it finally got released, I was ready to go out and see this film. So we're gonna talk about how I actually felt about it when we get a little bit later in the review. Let's go ahead and talk about who's in this film. So the cast of this movie is Benedict Cummberbatch. He's actually going to be in our lead role of Doctor Strange, and I gotta say he did a really, really good job. Other people in this is going to be Chiwetel Ejiofor, Mads Mikkelsen, who's actually going to be our villain, and we'll talk more about his role a little bit later. And then Rachel McAdams, who's the actual kind of love interest. She doesn't have a huge part in this film, but it's enough to kind of give Doctor Strange more of a reason for being outside of the whole sorcery thing. And then the one that had the biggest thing is Tilda Swinton is also in this film. As far as with the whitewashing thing that kind of went along with this film, I will tell you right now is that she did a great job in her role. And if you were against this film because of the whitewashing, you thought with her character, because the character was originally, as the Ancient One was originally Asian, you kind of get past it and you feel like you see what they were trying to do with her role, and it actually makes sense. So that's what I'm going to say about the cast. What is this movie about? So the plot of this film is that we take Benedict Cumberbatch's character, Doctor Strange, who is a super arrogant neurosurgeon who gets into a car accident and basically destroys his hands. So much so that he can't do surgery anymore. His hands shake constantly, and he has to take a Batman Begin-ish type journey to the Asian mountains in order to find a way to repair his hands. Along the way, once he gets there, he kind of learns the mystic arts, so that way he can actually go out and take on demons and other unearthly entities, I guess we'll put it that way, kind of foregoing his whole career as a surgeon and now moving towards the Sorcerer Supreme. So that's pretty much going to take care of the plot of this film, because I don't want to go into too much details because this is a non-spoiler review. We'll talk about that more when I actually do more of a spoiler review, so we can get into more in depth about what was going on with Doctor Strange. But let's talk about what I liked about this film and the goods and the bads. So the goods of this film is that this movie is completely different. It's different than anything Marvel has done so far. So much so that it almost, outside of you knowing that the character belongs in the MCU, it almost seems off as a one-off, kind of like where Ant-Man did at one point before they threw in the Falcon. This one really kind of seems like it could be a standalone film and existing in a standalone universe by itself. I guess that's the way I want to say it. But it's really different, and I know people kind of gave it the Inception vibes when you see the buildings kind of shifting around. But that's one of the great things that I liked about this film, is that it actually went above and beyond what Inception did. Yeah, it moved some buildings around, but this thing went 10 steps past what Inception did. So much so that it becomes surreal in some points, so where like this is kind of mind-bending and like, wow, how can somebody exist in this type of reality? So I mean, it's a different movie, and it makes it awesome because it's different. Sticking with that topic about it being, surreal and mind-bending, this movie needs to be seen in 3D to kind of really experience what the character's going through in these other realities. I don't really push a lot of 3D films. I think it's good when the film was actually designed to be in 3D, and when they tag on 3D just because they want to get more dollars out of you by selling tickets, I think it's really bad. But this one, it really needs to be seen in 3D to really feel and kind of experience everything that's going on and really get the full effect of what they're trying to show you. Other things I liked about this film is Benedict Cummberbatch as Doctor Strange. He sells me on the character. Even though in the beginning he does seem a little bit Tony Stark-ish, but him as a sorcerer, as not as a sorcerer supreme, but him as Doctor Strange, actually, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the character. He made me more interested in seeing more of what this character has to do in the universe and who he is, you know, fighting these demons and stuff like that. I don't even know how to say it, but I am now a Doctor Strange fan is the best way I can put it right now. So before I fanboy out about Benedict Cummberbatch being Doctor Strange, let's talk about what I didn't like in this film and the bads. So the bad to this film is that if you're not a big Doctor Strange fan, you're gonna get lost in some points. I got lost in some points. I mean, it was the Eye of Agamotto here and the Cloak of Levitation here and the staff of this and, you know, the sling rings and so much stuff that I'm like, they're just words at this point, and it kind of went over my head at some points. I'm sure people who are real big Doctor Strange fans were like, oh my god, they threw this in there, oh my god, they mentioned that, and like they knew what a lot of these things meant, and I really didn't. So I felt a little behind in trying to experience the movie not knowing all the finer details. And I know that's more of a fanboy thing, but I kind of like it when I know everything in the backstory going in, so that way I see everything that the director's trying to give us in the story and things on screen. Like that with Captain America, so I kind of wanted to feel that way with Doctor Strange, but that's okay. It did get me interested enough to where I want to see more. Other things that I didn't, or other things we'll say as bad, and these are minor bads to be honest, guys, is that it does give you some Batman Begins vibes. It also gives you some Iron Man vibes. It almost kind of melded those two together with a little sprinkle of Inception. So you can say like, oh, it kind of does this, it kind of does this, it kind of does that. I think it still has its own thing, and I think it takes those aspects and ramps them up. But still some bads because it does remind you of those, and people can kind of walk away feeling like, I kind of saw that before, but I don't think they'll feel that way after watching this movie. Last thing I think is a bad in this film is that I have no idea how this is going to fit in the MCU. So I'm like, it's so different and so much like he could take on the Avengers by himself. I don't understand why he would need the Avengers. The only thing is Thanos, and I would think that him versus Thanos would be the only equal match that could go on, well, until they get to Captain Marvel. But until then, I mean, Doctor Strange basically is gonna save the universe from Thanos and the Infinity Rings. That's my story. But that's all I got as far as the bads. I will tell you guys, not much of a spoiler, because we all know with MCU films, they always do post-credit stuff. There are 2 post-credit scenes, so make sure you stick around for both. One's pretty early in the credits, one happens at the end of the credits, one's super funny, and one has more to do with the story of, continuing the story of Doctor Strange. That's how I'll leave it. It's not spoilers. I'm not going to give that to you. Maybe we'll talk about that when we get in the spoiler review. So finally, how did I feel about it? I actually had a really good time with this film. I think as people see it, people will really get to understand what it is and get more love for it. I kind of saw some reviews out there where people were kind of bashing the villain again, and the villain does not need to be bashing this. It wasn't like the Dark Elf in Thor. It wasn't like Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy, which people love that movie, and as much as they bash Marvel villains, people love Guardians of the Galaxy. The villain in here with Mads Mikkelsen, you understood what his motivation was, why he was doing it, and he didn't overtake the screen. This movie is an origin story for Doctor Strange. He's supposed to serve his place. He wasn't just a villain of the week to where they threw in just to have somebody for Doctor Strange to fight. He had complete purpose, and you understood it and how it tied into Doctor Strange himself as well. So I think he did a great job. I think he is one of the top villains for Marvel, and people need to get over this whole bandwagon of just trashing Marvel villains. All right, should you go out and see this film? Well, if you're an MCU fan, then you're definitely already going to go see this movie. I don't have to convince you. If you're not a big fan of Doctor Strange, but say maybe you're a fan of, like I said, Inception, Batman Begins, Iron Man. If you're a fan of something interesting and kind of surreal, you'll definitely want to see this movie. This movie will impress you. You'll get a full enjoyment out of it. It does have some comedy in it, but it has a lot of serious tones at the beginning as well, especially when he damages his hands. I think you guys should get out and go ahead and see it. Is it my favorite MCU movie? No, because that's still Winter Soldier. Nothing's going to beat that until they make another Captain America film, I guess. Even though I know we got Civil War, and Civil War is number 2. But that's all I got to say about this particular movie review. Make sure you guys like and comment below to let me know what you guys thought about it when you got a chance to see it. Definitely tell me how you feel. What do you feel about the villain? How do you feel about Doctor Strange? All the Easter eggs that I'm sure that I missed not knowing Doctor Strange very well. Tell me about them because I want to fanboy out with you guys as well. And as always, make sure you subscribe so that way you know about when all these movie reviews come out. I try to see more than one movie if I can, so it may not be on a normal day like this one's coming out a little bit earlier. But if you subscribe, you'll get notifications in regards to that as well. All right. So until then, I'll see you guys next week. Take care.